We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite you to join us. Troop 214 will lead us in this as we start, and we would just do the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Roll call.
Kolpak? Here. Pepcorn?
Here.
Strand?
Here.
Turnberg? Here. Mahoney?
Here. We're going to start with highlights of the police department's wellness program. We have video that was shot in regards to that. It's a new program that we started that's working very well.
Number one priority is taking care of our personnel, obviously, their most important asset. It's important for our profession as a whole and specifically for our department, and it's a huge recruitment and retention tool.
Officers deal with and see so many things throughout their career and throughout their days that a lot of people don't really understand. It's kind of an interesting thing. I've sat around a campfire before with different people that aren't cops, and the question is always what's the craziest thing you've ever seen? What is the craziest thing you've ever dealt with? And I always ask the question, what's your definition of crazy? What's your definition of the craziest thing that you've ever seen? To me, that's completely different than what somebody who hasn't gone through that or gone through different things. So it's an interesting conversation to have with people as to what the craziest thing I've seen or gone through.
Officer wellness is incredibly important, so they're able to go out and do their job and do it well. And also outside of their employment, it's important for them to have a healthy and happy life outside of work as well. A lot of times officers will experience what is called acute stress, and that typically happens anywhere from 3 to 30 days after a critical event. And so it's really important that we're able to take opportunities to meet with them and help them work through those incidents in order for them to process through it and move on to the next critical event. There continues to be a stigma when we talk about mental well-being. However, I feel like we're getting away from that stigma, but it is critical that people recognize the amount of tragic and critical incidents our law enforcement officers are exposed to in a monthly basis is more than what the average person is exposed to in a lifetime.
Officer wellness is a value in our department, and it's a huge component across the board. And we don't offer it just for our sworn personnel, but our civilian personnel as well. Everyone's received resiliency training. The services are available to everyone in terms of our wellness coordinator and the mental health support. I think it's a really big thing. It's a big thing in the law enforcement police profession, and our department is excelling in that area. We want to keep the ball rolling in that direction, and we see the positive results that it brings back. We've heard from our personnel about how certain trainings and how things we have done help them get through certain traumatic events, and I think that's huge.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve the order of agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the September 15th, 2025 regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 34?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak? Aye. Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye. We're going to public hearings, item 35, public hearing, special assessment list for the following improvement districts. All have been approved by Special Assessment Commission, 9/4/25. Steve Sprague to explain, as well as,
Doug Durgan.
yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Item 35 are our 24 improvement districts that we have completed and certified. The benefit has been approved and verified to be less than the cost by the Special Assessment Commission at a hearing that was conducted September 4th earlier this month. These 24 improvement districts total just over $43 million in special assessed amounts affecting 5,097 parcels. This is the final step, and we're looking for your confirmation of the SA list this evening, and would be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners? Is there anybody present who wishes to protest the special assessment? Anybody want to comment on the special assessment? If not, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Number 36, special assessment for 2025 new and reconstruction of city-ordered sidewalks, project SR 24A. Steve and Doug to explain as well.
Yeah, so Mayor, if it's okay, we can do 36 and 37 together. They're both sidewalk projects, SR 24A and SR 24B. These are both our citywide sidewalk projects that were certified and completed. It affects 227 parcels, and the amount assessed is $749,695.38. These two projects are done citywide, and they follow a different section of ND Century Code 4029 than our previous improvements. That's why we separate these two out from the rest. So this is the final step for these as well, and we're looking for confirmation of the SA list. I'd be glad to answer any questions on these two.
Does anyone present wish to speak about the sidewalk assessment? Anybody want to speak to the sidewalk assessment? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion for items 36, 37?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Keep working our way through these. You guys are kind of busy, huh? Item 38, special assessment of business improvement district. Steve
our-
Sprague gets this one.
I'm going to do this one. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Our bid is, this is an annual assessment, and the bid, in case, you're wondering, that helps us maintain the downtown area. We collect the assessment, and then we turn the money over to the Downtown Community Partnership, who oversees the bid operations. And the bid's primary goals are clean, safe, maintain, and beautify. And so the work that you see downtown, emptying garbages, cleaning up the sidewalks, changing out the flags, doing different things like that, helping promote and beautify our downtown area.
Does anyone present wish to speak about Bowtown Business Improvement District? They want to speak about the business district? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
You guys are kind of quiet tonight. Too much sunshine outside or whatever. Roll call vote, please.
Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye. So Steve Sprague, is that the last time you have to do the bid? Yes, it is. Okay. Item 39, application filed by Bison Run Rentals for payment in lieu of tax exemption on a project to be located at 1102 and 1110 17th Street North, which application we use for renting residential townhomes. Jim Gilmore to explain.
Thank you. In keeping with the policy change that you had made earlier this year, we've changed what the limit would be for kind of infill projects in the core neighborhoods on multifamily. In the past, we've done it over a 10-year period with 100% for 5 and then 50% for 5 years. The new policy is to limit that to just 7 years, but allow it to be at 100%. That makes it easier for the assessor to keep track of the exemption. This particular location is on the corner of 17th Street and 11th Avenue North. There's one vacant house on the property. If I can get to the next. I'm going to have trouble here, I can tell. Anyway, you can see that location. Somebody can help me get to that PowerPoint. Yeah. So anyway, this is the PowerPoint that shows the existing conditions. So the future land use would be, right now what we have is two rundown property and a vacant lot. There's a garage on the site, kind of falling down. I feel like I should have Sean Rudnick up here to talk about dangerous buildings, that this seems like it would qualify, but anyway, you can kind of see the condition area of this house. It's not something that somebody's going to be able to go in and restore. I think it's too far gone. I think the owner of the property, the previous owner of the property had sold it recently to these developers. They had acquired it in this condition. They're not the ones that let it get to this condition. They manage a lot of rental properties in the neighborhood, and so what they like to do is to, get this. See the exterior here. Anyway, so their conclusion when they acquired this was clearly it had to be torn down. And so this is a proposal for 6 townhomes that would be developed on the site. When we look at the land use plan and the zoning, the land use plan is for future multifamily. The zoning is university mixed use, which would allow this. Again, we had this sent to our financial advisor. Their return, even with this incentive, is just a little less than 9%, which is actually lower than most developers would even take this on. A lot of investors wouldn't take on a project with that rate of return. The planning department did have some concern about the project, whether or not it's consistent. They went through the site plan review for planning, and planning's reviewed it. But this would be contingent on them being able to get a building permit. There seems to be some minor things on the trust plans and inspections and some of the utility hookups for engineering, but the kind of things that people kind of work through at the end. So the recommendation from the Economic Development Incentive Committee is to approve the 100% pilot exemption for 7 years. The developers are here. I'd like to have them come up and talk about the project a little bit and what their vision is for this area.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So this project kind of landed in our laps. We manage the property directly across the alleyway from the location, and I've looked at this land for quite some time. It's been just kind of something that we have stumbled upon, and we're excited about the prospect of being able to improve the land that's right in our backyard.
Yep, and as you can see, it's pretty run down. We just want to create a safe, more modern thing for our students. Kind of getting away from like baseboard heat, window units, more just modernized and convenient for them as well. So,
Yeah.
Are there garage spaces with them as well?
there is no garage spaces. What you can see is open air parking in the front, and then in the back, where the alley is going to be, there is parking designated back there.
Parking as well, okay. Commissioners have any questions? Thank you. It looks like it's going to be a marked improvement.
Yeah,
you.
much better.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else want to speak to this TIF? Or pilot, I'm sorry. Anyone present want to speak to the pilot? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Strand?
Thank you, Jim. Just to remind me, when did our board here approve that change in policy to consolidate it to 7 years average versus spreading it over time?
It was about 4 months ago, give or take a month.
Was that on our consent agenda?
No, it was a policy change that you had looked at. We had looked at a couple other policy changes in terms of how long applications could be held that evening.
I'm possibly confusing it with Renaissance. That's the difference. We're different years for the Renaissance and the pilot from the county?
Yeah, I think the Renaissance zone had been discussed earlier with us because the state now allows those to go 8 years, but the county has limited them to 5.
Okay.
The county may only participate in the first 5 years of this. Quite frankly, we never know what the county's going to do.
My apologies, I was confusing the two.
Jim, can you make Mr. Strand aware of Commissioner Grinberg's letter to us in regards to what they'll allow in tax exemption?
Yeah, it's.
There was their letter as well, Commissioner
Yeah,
Strand.
they had sent us a letter. It was a little unclear, but they seem to be more focused on the job creation projects. They're comfortable with those. They're comfortable participating in low-income projects, but other redevelopment projects and even new housing projects like this, I think their goal is to limit them to more 5 years and maybe at a 50% rate. again, the language was unclear, and so we're going to go to their meeting and try to get that clarified.
We, however, had a policy discussion in our committee, came up with the 7 years, which remember the commission and sometimes used to go 5 years for 100%, 50% for 5 years. We used to be a lot longer, 15 years, and we're all cutting back now. So really the new policy reflects looking at that and having something that's reasonable to calculate and a defined time of 7 years. So, any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg? Aye. Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Aye. Number 40, annexation to 49.91 acres, more or less located in a portion of the west half of the northeast quarter, section 14, township 140 north, range 49 west of the 5th principal meridian, Cass County, North Dakota. First reading of the annexation ordinance. Donald Crest to explain.
Good evening, Commissioners. Donald Crest of the Department of Planning and Development. I'll be presenting the next 2 items. Both of these items include ordinances prepared by the City Attorney's Office. Our first item here, item 40, as the mayor has stated, is an annexation of a portion of the west half of the northwest quarter, section 14, township 140 north, range 49 west. Locate that here. This is 37th Street. This is 52nd Avenue North. These are the city sewage lagoons down here. Amazon down here. Property looks about like this here. These photos are a couple of months old. I went out there Friday, but there's road construction, so I couldn't get any closer. So we're using the previous photos. Again, here the surrounding zoning is agricultural and industrial. This property is zoned agricultural. As stated in your staff report, this entire property will be included in the 46th Avenue Industrial Park Second Edition, which will be the next item on our agenda. There's the plat, just a rectangular plat there. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed annexation at their June 3rd, 2025 meeting and found that it is consistent with the Fargo Growth Plan 2024, which designates this area as general industrial and flex warehouse. The applicant, Andrew Thill of Lowry Engineering, is with us this evening and they wish to address the Commission. The recommendation is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, and then this will roll right into the next one, which this will be a part of. So.
Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in regards to this annexation? Anyone present who wishes to speak?
Good evening. I want to start off by saying that I condemn, in the strongest possible sense of the word, Fargo's annexation of this land. As a commission, it should be an absolute priority of yours to foster the goodwill not only between your constituents, but also between the city and its neighbors as well. With this annexation, you will only be creating further animosity and deepening the divide between our communities. As someone who has been intensely involved in the conversation and protest regarding Harwood's proposed data center, of which this annexation affects.
This doesn't affect Harwood.
No, sir. May I clarify something, sir?
This is separate.
Let me just show you something here. So this property, this is all within. This is surrounded by the city of Fargo. This is a separate thing from the.
This is separate action from that action.
It is not included in Harwood's.
No, this
plan?
is entirely surrounded by the city of Fargo. It's just part of a larger plat.
Okay. Well, I will speak the rest of what I've written with that in mind.
You can speak to this annexation. If you want to speak to the annexation of Harwood, that would be in public discussion.
Okay. I will concede my time until then.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? We'll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye. 41, public hearing, 46th Avenue Industrial Park, Second Edition. Approval recommended by Planning Commission 6325, zoning change from agriculture to limited industrial. First reading of the rezoning ordinance and the plat of 46th Avenue Industrial Park, Second Edition.
Thank you, Mayor. This map here shows the surroundings a little better here, the context a little better, illustrating that this property here is the one we just, your commission just voted to annex. So that annexation the other gentleman was referring to is further to the north. So this is 46th Avenue Industrial Park. second edition, a major subdivision, and this plat includes the area of the annexation that your commission just approved. The subject property is located around here, 37th Street North, 52nd Avenue North, 46th Avenue North. Property looks like this. It is undeveloped. Here's just some shots of it again from a couple months ago because I couldn't get any closer when I was out there last time. Taken from different vantage points here. And here is the plat in your packet. The plat is over several pages, but we asked the applicant to prepare a single sheet page here so you can follow this clearly. So again, there are 3 blocks, 5 lots, 2 large lots here, 2 smaller lots here, 1 mid-sized lot here, and then the city has an easement here for a lift station. And there are dedications of right-of-way as are specified in your staff report. The zoning here is all agricultural at this time, and the proposed zoning will be a mix of limited industrial and agricultural. That is, these 2 lots are large lots. There is no development proposed on them at this time, so they'll just be, ag is sort of a holding zone. We've done this on a couple other projects before with the idea that when those properties are ready to develop or may be replatted in the future, that the city would generally support zoning to the appropriate industrial zone for those. The plat also includes, we'll go back and look at the plat here a moment. The plat also includes a waiver of block length. That's a specification in our subdivision ordinance of a maximum block length of 1,320 feet, a quarter mile. As you see, some of these blocks are longer than that, but these are industrial blocks. They're intended for very large scale development. There will be pedestrian connectivity on the sidewalks of the streets that surround it, but that requirement is in a residential zone where you'd want to break your blocks up and have pedestrian access is not an element that's necessary for this industrial development. So there is a waiver for block length, and that's included in the plat approval motion. And there is also a separate document that's attached in your packet, which is an airport proximity agreement. Properties that develop in proximity to the airport and the City of Fargo sewage lagoons are required to sign that. That's a standard form. It's been before your commission many times. And we do that in cooperation with the Hector Airport Executive Director, Sean Doberstein. The applicant, as a representative of Mr. Andrew Thill of Lowry Engineering, is with us tonight and may wish to address the commission. The recommended motion is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Does anyone present wish to speak to this zoning change? Anyone present wishing to speak? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Colpack? Aye. Strand?
Yes.
Turnberg? Aye. Mahoney?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Don. Discussion regarding 64th Avenue interchange. We will have an explanation by Tom Knockmus, and then we will have 3 speakers to speak to that issue. And Tom, you will start it.
Sounds good. Just waiting for the presentation. Thank you. First of all, just want to remind the commission, just providing an update tonight, asking for no decision this evening. That will come in the coming months when we bring back all the public comment and any additional information that the commission would like before we ultimately ask them to make a decision. So I thought it was important just to provide some background of how we got here to the 64th Avenue interchange because there has been quite a bit of conversation about it recently. So this all kicked off back in really 2006, 2007, 2008, but ultimately City Commission received a report about a corridor study on 25th Street and 64th Avenue back in October of 2008. And then ultimately also voted to receive and file that report, but also authorized staff to implement the study recommendations. So it was a pretty large corridor study. So on 25th Street from 52nd Avenue all the way down to 100th Avenue South, and then on 64th Avenue from University over to 57th were veterans. Tonight, I'll just really be speaking specifically about those items relating to 64th Avenue and the overpass or interchange at I-29. So here are a few statements that were I pulled from that report, just trying to remind the commission and the public of the mindset and what was all going on at this time. And so the report talks about one of the key elements of the report was to analyze both a grade separation and interchange at 64th Avenue. At that time, currently, there was an interchange at 52nd Avenue, and then the next to the south was at 100th Avenue South. And it did talk about in the long-range transportation plan, one being planned at 76 as well. Also a reminder, back in this time, that's when 52nd Avenue, as it is today, that interchange was being constructed. And so it was a lesser interchange, more rural interchange prior to that. But back in this era is when that interchange was being constructed. Also found interesting in here, it also talked about how the city had initiated a study back in 2006 to preserve right-of-way in the northeast quadrant of I-29 64th Avenue for a potential future interchange. And the reason why is that Maple Valley Addition was proposed at that time, and without preserving that right-of-way, we would have lost the ability to do so had that plat moved forward at the time. So we initiated the study in 2006. Ultimately, Maple Valley Addition was platted in 2007, and the city acquired the right-of-way for potential interchange at that location in 2007. There was also a comment in here from the study review committee that just said, the intent was to continue to preserve right-of-way for the future interchange. They acknowledged that an overpass would likely be needed before a full interchange, but that accommodation should be made when we ultimately build an overpass so that ramps could be added when they are needed. The study did also have a number of recommendations and timeline, and I'll go through this in a little bit more detail, but they laid out kind of a roadmap of near-term, mid-range, and long-range plans of when some of these features would be added. And so they discussed an overpass at I-29 being in the mid-range of 2013 to 2017, and they foresaw an interchange being necessary in the long range of 2018 between 2018 and 2027. So skip forward from 2008 when that study was in front of City Commission to 2015. Not a lot happened down there. But in 2015, City Commission approved us to go after federal funds for the construction of an overpass. In 2016, we were awarded funds for that overpass project, and City Commission authorized the hiring of a consulting engineer to complete the environmental documentation and design of the 64th Avenue overpass. In that time, we were also working on that overall corridor, and so the city constructed 64th Avenue from 25th Street to University Drive in that year. Jump forward a few more years in 2019, that's when the city started to acquire right-of-way and talk to some of the adjacent landowners along 64th Avenue, and that was for the construction of the roadway just east of I-29 from 33rd Street to 25th Street. Also in 2019, in October of 2019, MetroCog Policy Board did vote to include the 64th Avenue interchange ramps in the long-range transportation plan. And in December of that year, City Commission approved us to apply for federal funds for the interchange at 64th Avenue and I-29. So then in 2020, we were notified that funding was awarded for 64th Avenue interchange ramps. And at that time, the North Dakota DOT programmed that project for 2025 and included it in their statewide improvement plan. Also in 2020, we completed design for the 64th Avenue overpass. At that point, we knew that the intent was to add ramps in 2025, and so our design took that into account. In that year, we completed 64th Avenue roadway from 33rd Street to 25th Street. And then also in 2020, we acquired the right-of-way for the other three quadrants of the interchange. So the northwest, the southwest, and the southeast. In 2021, we started constructing the 64th Avenue project. In 2022, the overpass project was completed and open to traffic. That same year, so was 64th Avenue west of the interstate, connecting over to 45th Street. And part of that project was also on 45th Street up to 52nd Avenue. City Commission approved in 2022 also that we hire a consultant to complete the environmental documentation, interstate justification report, and design of 64th Avenue interchange. In 2023, we were notified by the North Dakota North Dakota DOT that they were moving the programming of 64th Avenue interchange from 2025 to 2028. And it was really just because of a funding issue on their end. With their statewide needs, they moved that project back 3 years. So again, during that time though, we've been continuing to work on design, currently working on environmental documentation and design. On August 28th, we held a public input meeting at the Fargo Sports Center. And I think that's where a lot of the conversation started after that meeting. And then just to let you know where we are again now, in the coming months, we'll be back to provide more information, including the summary of the public comments before we seek a decision. When we come to City Commission, we, as part of an environmental document, we always ask for a decision document. And so as part of that, we provide alternatives, try to make recommendations, or at least give you the information you need to consider the various options. But there's always also a no-build option, a do-nothing option that is considered by City Commission with that. So if the City Commission does choose a build option, we would continue working on design through 2026 with the intent of starting construction in 2028. So, like I said, that corridor study had laid out recommendations for when roadways would be constructed. Again, those recommendations were based on anticipated growth. I thought this was important just because, you know, we're very intentional to not get ahead of development, but we also don't want to lag it too much either. So I'm just going to skip through this real quick. So again, recommended in 2010, actually built in 2016. The next portion was recommended in 2012, actual in 2020. The overpass was recommended between years 2013 and 2017. That opened to public in 2022. The next portion was in part of that long-range plan between 2018 and 2027. The actual was 2022. The next portion they also recommended as part of the long-range. That portion is not programmed currently. And then the interchange itself was also recommended in the long range between 2018 and 2027. And as you can see, currently proposed for 2028. So again, what happens after tonight? Again, we're going to compile the public comments, work to finalize the environmental document, and then ultimately bring that information back to City Commission. We would likely do it in a series of two, providing that information to City Commission, and then at the following meeting or the meeting after that even, ask for an actual decision. But to me, part of the point of this update tonight is we want to know what the public needs for information before we ask you for a decision, and we also just want to understand what the City Commission is looking for additional information before we ask you to make a decision.
Thank
With
you.
that, happy to take any questions.
Mr. Pepper.
So, Mr. Chair, so Tom, can you talk a little bit about, so obviously down the road, 76th and 100th would also be potential. How do you reserve those corridors, even though right now they're not in the, you know, plans, but how, can you talk a little bit about how you do that?
Yeah, there's a number of ways that we do it. Part of the way that we do it, as part of the 64th Avenue interchange project, City Commission also approved the studying of 76th Avenue interchange for the same point that was done back in 2006. We want to be sure that if any developers come in to develop that land, we know what needs to be preserved for an interchange. And so part of this current study looked at what would be necessary because we have Selkirk Fourth and additional plats coming in that area adjacent to 76th Avenue where we know we need to preserve right away. So that's one way. And then the other way is just being sure that we're reserving appropriate right-of-way widths when developers come in and plat along 76th Avenue.
Can I ask one more follow-up? So can you talk, so do you, obviously the technical groups do you work with Horace to make sure that we are compatible with, like, obviously the high school is out there and about their vision, so it goes together?
Yeah, a big part of that is MetroCog and the corridor studies that they do. So there was a corridor study that MetroCog led on 76th Avenue that provides a lot of that information for us to know what should be considered for right-of-way widths, corridors, and all that.
We have 3 speakers tonight. Brent Mitchell, you want to come up to the podium, please? You're going to have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thank you for your opportunity to hear my input. I want to say very clearly, I am directly opposed to having an interstate interchange at 64th Avenue. I feel it is a tremendous missed opportunity by the city from a development perspective. If you look at any interstate interchange in the city currently, they are thriving hubs of commerce. Both of the plans proposed through MetroCog currently have large roundabouts on the east side, designed intentionally to slow traffic down and dissuade from traffic eastward. That area is a closely built up residential neighborhood. It will never provide the city with strong commercial tax incentives. 76th still has those options. You are losing 50% of your tax revenue by trying to hurry up an interchange at 64th. The idea behind the development plan that the city has followed so far of interchange overpass is to allow corridors for inter-neighborhood transit. I was there at that meeting on January of 2019 that wasn't in the presentation, where we were told point blank it would only ever be an overpass because they needed that transit corridor to feed into Davies, to feed the neighborhoods, to provide a good way for us to transit inside the neighborhood without having to hit the interstate and increase congestion. Now, what we are seeing is a plan that is the worst of both plans. We are having a halfway interchange that will be bottlenecked from the get-go and slowing down. It is now currently on the 2050 tip for the 76th interchange. 2050, not 2028, not 2030, 2050. Why is the city giving up the opportunity for that tax revenue and that growth by pushing off a prior designed interchange for this half-baked notion to try to satisfy commercial interests on an eastern or the western half of the road? We don't have a 64th road. Thank you for your time.
Robert Coast.
Hello. I guess I'm Rob Cost. You probably have heard about me in the news lately. I'm been coordinating a lot of the public input on this project. Presented at MetroCog a couple times. Number one, 64th Avenue is a residential district on the east side. It's not designed for this type of traffic flow that the projections are telling us 2 to 3 times what it is today. Number two, 76th Avenue is designed for this. The backyards are to 76th Avenue, not the front yards, the side yards, as 64th is. This is going to ruin our neighborhood. We live in a great place right now. It's going to turn it into a highway. Not okay. Number three, Fargo, Horace, West Fargo will benefit from the 76th Avenue interchange. In fact, the Planning Commission of Horace is planning for 76th Avenue, not 64th Avenue. I received a public comment from that. It just doesn't add up. The 76th Avenue interchange is the best choice from a value, annual property tax, and construction sales tax. Eagle Run Development reached out to me. I didn't solicit them, and they provided me this information. It's 2.65 times better deal from an economic perspective. It's the best business choice. Number five, South Fargo, east of I-29, has reached 76th Avenue. South of Davies, we're there. The interchange is needed at 76th Avenue. Please make the right decision. Thank you.
Walter Samuel.
Hello, I'm Walter Samuel. I'm a resident on 64th Avenue South. I've been out there, my folks moved out there in 1976. So I'm just going to talk about a few things. One, it's trust.
Stay close to the mic, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The first thing I want to talk about is trust. In 2019, the city had a meeting at Bennett Elementary in January that talked about what the interchange, or the overpass, excuse me, is going to consist of. Excuse my voice, I'm a little nervous. I haven't stood in front of this many people for a while. In that meeting at Bennett Elementary, they talked about how this would only be an overpass, and that's referenced by Jeremy Gordon from the city and Scott Middow from KLJ. Less than 11 months later, I have your timeline. Thank you, Tom, for sharing that from the engineering department. That talks about, in December, funds were allocated, or funds were going to be essentially, what does it say here? City Commission approves application for federal funding for full interchange of 64th Avenue on I-29. So in 11 months, the City Commission changed from what they were going to do and what they promised to what they're now doing. It is difficult to trust the city when this happens. And the biggest part is there has been no public communication to those that are going to be impacted the most in this situation. I have 5 kids. I was raised there. It is very difficult to have this happen. Would any one of you want to live where we live? Right now, you would. Come out to my place. I would love to show you. 8 acres, horses. We got a paradise. It is not going to be a paradise. It is disrespectful to do this. The integrity of the city is gone because they are not following what they initially said. My father was a city planning commissioner with Mark Bittner who had integrity and stuck to his word. They planned this territory. My dad was on for 17 years, and they planned 52nd as an overpass and an interchange, 64th as an overpass or an underpass, like 40th, Mayor, as you've talked about, and 76th as an interchange. Don't change the game on us. Do what's right. Come and say, I'll have you out at my porch. I'd love to show you my place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tom, no decision tonight. You're going to go up with public discussion, and you're going to kind of give us the rest of that, come back to us and give the data. At some point, we'll have to make a decision. Commissioner Kolpak.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank the speakers tonight. I will share with the audience and those watching that the reason it's on the agenda tonight for discussion is because Mr. Cost reached out and asked to have it added to tonight's agenda for discussion. So we did that, and there is a PowerPoint in today's agenda packet that he submitted that's part of that background as well. So I just wanted to shout that out.
Which all the commissioners had, so they were able to review it, and anybody in the public could review it as well, and see the discussion points that they brought out tonight. Tom, do you want to make any further comment? No? Any other questions or discussion? Thank you. Brenda Derrick, update on the potential relocation sites for the Resource and Recovery Center, formerly known as the Downtown Engagement Center.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm here to provide an update on our public meeting last week, along with the survey that we had in association with that meeting. So as I presented 2 weeks ago, we had discussed 3 properties that would have a potential to be able to relocate the engagement center. One is at 610 North University. The second one is 720 14th Street North, and the last one was 2001 First Avenue North. So last week, we had a really good turnout at the public meeting. We had a panel of providers that are at the engagement center, and they talked about some of the services that they provide at the engagement center. And then we had a full hour of question and answer period. And then we also had about 30 minutes of just one-on-one discussion after the streaming of the meeting was completed. And so some of the concerns that came up were concerns related to safety for both residents and businesses to the 2 North Fargo, the 610 and the 720 sites. And then just a lack of clarity, kind of the why now, why are we looking now? relocating the engagement center. I know we've had some conversations over the last year, and so just that question was raised. And then just the clarity on the need to move the engagement center out of downtown and why it's no longer suitable. And so for everyone's interest, I know we've talked about this a few times, but the engagement center really formulated from the COVID era. And so we had a building available, we needed space, and so we had some overflow in shelters. And then that is when it turned into, after that, it evolved into the engagement center there. Concerns related to decreased property values, increased foot traffic, transportation concerns with the guests who would utilize the services, and then just challenge, for the one location's a little further away, challenge getting there, and just a desire of more information on the costs associated with each location. So we did have a public survey that ranked all the 3 sites. In a matter of, we had about 9 days, we had the survey out. We received 521 respondents, 500 completed the ranking, and then in addition to that, we had 272 respondents that provided comments and feedback that we reviewed. So a lot of the comments followed the comments we heard at the public meeting. On top of that, we heard comments in regards to, having it remain where it is. So we had, just under 50 comments on having it remain. We did have, 10 comments on closing the center also. So we had a variety of feedback that we received that we went through. Some of the additional questions or concerns we saw in that public survey that we had too was just the relocation sites aren't near some of the downtown amenities, such as the Salvation Army, the transit depot, and then the downtown library. So what our survey question said was, please rank the locations according to your preference. And you can see here, 2001, First Avenue ranked first, and 720 14th Street ranked second, and then the 610 University Drive ranked third. So we had about 303 votes for the first ranking first, and 279 for the 720 site. So our staff team of public health, harm reduction, facilities, and planning have at a very high level looked at each of the sites, and there are pros and cons to each of the sites. And so looking at it at a technical level, the 610 University is ideally located for clients. It's got an ideal layout for programs. It would be the fastest move-in readiness timeline. We do have a lease to buy option. There are no abutting neighbors, but we also know that the neighbors and area businesses do oppose this location. And so when you look at the 720, that's a good location for clients, a good layout for the program. It does have a lease to buy option. We do have an owner willing to partner with us on different upgrades to the building and the site. There's no abutting neighbors there that are touching the property. And then we would have a second floor available for future lease to another agency. But we still do have concerns by the neighbors in this location. At the 2001, we understand it's a little further from downtown. We still feel it's a fair location and a good layout for programs. But the downfall is that it is the furthest site, and it potentially will not be available for purchase. So looking at the site review and looking at a matrix, we are looking at this very high level. I was just in front of you 2 weeks ago. And so what I did is look at green being more favorable, right? I came from engineering, green, yellow, red. And so green being more favorable, and then last would be red. And so taking that public feedback and really looking at, where that ranking looked at. Right now, where we're at with acquisition and lease costs, renovation costs, availability for purchase, to me, I would think that would be a pro. Ability to move quickly. There are a couple of the sites that have a little more building constraints, and then access to transportation. And so as we continue to evaluate the sites further and gather more information, some of these designations will change. So we're still at a very high level, and we're still reviewing all the different sites. So what do the next steps look like? We have been in conversation, and we are working with the FM Area Foundation to do an agreement to set up for community donations. We continue to work with the architecture team that will help lay out what the renovation plan would look like. And we are securing some professional and technical resources to help us understand. I want to be able to come back with a full story so that you understand all the pros and cons as we dive into those sites. And then we'll continue our public engagement and present the final plan options to the commission for consideration and final approval. And with that, I would take any questions.
We have 3 speakers, then I'll go to questions, Brenda, if that's okay. First in person is Sarah Liljestrand.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Honorable City Commissioners. I am Sarah Liljestrand, the co-owner of Holland's Home and Garden at 420 University Drive North in Fargo. We believe that there is a great need for the Resource and Recovery Center in Fargo, that safe housing and health care are basic human rights that all should have. Since the process of relocating the center started this spring, I have met with 68 business owners on University, 10th Street, Broadway, 2nd, 4th, and 8th Street in downtown Fargo. Only one of those business owners said that they did not care. A few have said that the center should be closed. The overwhelming majority said that the center needs to be relocated to an area that is not around businesses, schools, or housing. Some business owners with tears in their eyes recounted stories of people coming into their stores and urinating on the walls or aggressively demanding money. The reality is that when people are under the influence or experiencing a mental health crisis, safety issues arise. At the public meeting on Tuesday, multiple people on the panel said that they could not guarantee public safety. That, of course, is true. It is not the job of public health to ensure the safety, but it is your job. You were elected by the citizens of Fargo to enact policy that determines the health and safety of all. The only viable option for relocation of the center is 2001 First Avenue North by the main Fargo Police Department. It's a modern building with the space that is needed. It is on a public transportation route, 1 block away from an existing shelter, close to public health outreach on 25th, along a major thoroughfare for emergency services, and away from high-density residential properties, schools, including the NDSU campus, student houses, housing, and businesses. Thank you.
Virtual, Olivia Fisher. Olivia, are you on?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Alrighty, hi, my name is Olivia. I'm a Fargo resident. I'm speaking tonight to yet again point out the fact that there is truly no reason to move the deck other than to appease businesses that feel threatened by the presence of homeless people. I know that the current reasoning being given is that the current building isn't suiting the needs for all of the programs that the deck offers. Yet there are plenty of solutions on how to work around that, which residents mentioned at the town hall last Tuesday. During the town hall, we were shown the map where areas of town were highlighted to show possible areas for relocation, as well as the specific preferred area for the deck. The only location within the preferred area of downtown Fargo is where the deck currently resides. So my question is, why is the city so eager to relocate to one of these three locations when they are also not ideal? What is the point in moving from one building that supposedly isn't working to another building that is also not going to work? I fear that the further away it gets, the easier it will be for all of you to ignore unsheltered folks. We have all watched you slowly approve more and more harmful changes that some of you once seemed to heavily oppose, such as the camping ban and now this relocation. How long will it be before you decide to shut it down entirely? As it sounds like city members want that to happen as well, which is severely disappointing. This entire proposal makes zero sense considering the deck has been losing funding and closing on the weekends. How do you expect an even larger building to function when you are barely even funding it as is? Which, mind you, is why I asked on Tuesday about the funding why it is not being used to open the deck 7 days a week instead of relocating. To which Mayor Mahoney grabbed the mic and avoided the question entirely, leading me to then get no answer from the panel either. This action alone leads me to believe that the only reason the deck could receive this extra funding is because local businesses are the ones providing it, with the sole intent of pushing the deck out of downtown. I also assume that they will then not receive this funding if the deck doesn't move locations. The greediness is appalling. I can't explain to you just how angering it is to hear city staff talk about how much they care about our residents, only to not listen to them. It makes me question if any of you have ever taken the time to get to know the folks that utilize the deck services, or if you visited the deck recently to get input from people about the relocation. I've spoken with multiple people who have been greatly impacted by its closure on the weekends and feel that the relocation is just another way to displace them. This will increase their travel time to get around the various services available downtown, and with how brutal our winters get, that will bring further hurdles to their day-to-day lives. It deeply sickens me to hear the horrible lies being spread about unsheltered folks. To hear fellow community members make statements and attempts to humanize homeless individuals because some people only see them as dangerous criminals. I interact with many unsheltered folks here in town, and they all have much more compassion than the commissioners who spread misinformation about them.
Camille Brandt is virtual as well. Camille, are you on?
Hello, I am. Hi.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners, for this opportunity. It's great to be part of this process. It's great to see the scouts there tonight. Democracy in action. Camille Brandt, Children's Montessori, Fargo. The deck emerged from COVID. That's been shared so many times. It wasn't planned necessarily. It emerged. People responded to emergencies. And this is the result. And more folks have joined in, and they're doing a wonderful job with a lot of passion, helping people who are unhoused with basic daily needs. No one is arguing that. The engagement center itself has wanted to move because of lack of resources and space. That has been very clear. I also want to reiterate, I firmly believe that the issue at hand is not about people who are unhoused. It's about people who are unhoused, who also have addiction and also have mental health issues, who at times behave in ways that put the general public at risk. And this is what we are talking about. This is a concern. A carefully planned community center would make medical service available, referrals available, emergency beds, housing, work and training opportunities, VA contact, legal help, laundry room, showers, training for guests, training for the community. Not all of us are experts in mental health. So yes, we have concerns. There are people who live and work around the North University corridor. My concern is about some, not all, individuals because of general safety for children, youth, students at NDSU, property along that area, sanitation, health, public health. Residents in the proposed areas communicated last week they already feel like some of their needs have not been met, and now they feel like their neighborhoods again are being overlooked, and their concerns are being overlooked in regards to their very real and valid concerns and fears. The approach taken, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any questions of the commissioners or Brenda? Commissioner Pipcorn.
Just a couple of comments. I would encourage you to schedule to appear in front of the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association. I'm sure they'll be excited to hear your perspective on locating that in their neighborhood. And then also, I find it ironic that the other site is right next to one of the 4 finalists for our new convention center. It's literally right across the street, so that's my comments.
Any other comments or questions? Christopher Strand?
Thank you. Brenda, could you help us understand who will our partners potentially be at this new site and what services? I hear different names and different entities and service providers, but how might that look regardless of where the engagement center facility might land?
So I think, I apologize, I don't have the list all in front of me, but I know we have a list of about 20 partners, right, that are there today, but they're not there every day, nor do we have the space for them to be there every day. Homeless Health has stated they will go with us regardless of the site we pick. They all work for them. And then we have also been working with Southeast Human Resources, and so their presence, they're trying to increase their presence, assisting our staff also. And so what we're seeing is with that additional space, we can also look at expanding the frequency of when our partners are there, because right now they can't be all there at once.
Anything follow-up, John? Okay.
Well, how is, I know we have communicated with the Bloomberg folks and leaders, and they've helped guide us down this path, and we had the Matthews from Milwaukee here. How is that all looking going forward? Are they on board with us, these partners like the Bloomberg Association? Are we mirroring what they see as successful in other communities, or I just don't know where we're at with any of that interaction?
Thank you for the question. So where we are at with that, Commissioner Strand, is they're still helping us weave our way through sites. And so as we look at a site and try and determine, is it even a potential site? They're helping us flush that through, looking at the program needs and what we would be needing for a valid site. So they're helping us navigate those paths. And then what I would say too, in regards to housing, we have our metro-wide initiative, and that is with United Way and Chandler. And so that's really looking at to that metro initiative on getting our unhoused house.
Commissioner Pepcorn.
Is this going to be in the budget for this year, and how much money is this going to cost, and how much is it going to cost the taxpayers of Fargo?
So right now, our recommendation is what we are recommending is we are covering the operations like we have this year. So the operation and utilities.
I guess I would need to know the specific amount of money that we're spending now on the Downtown Engagement Center and what the acquisition of this building would cost, also the fit up of the building, all those things. I need to know how much money, and I would be voting against the taxpayers of Fargo funding something that's a regional service center, enabling center for vagrants. And so I think we need to see this in the budget. And a lot of this is hypothetical funding, and I don't think we are going to be doing that. When you start adding at all the debt that we have in the city of Fargo, we can't afford this right now.
That'll be presented the next time.
Correct.
Whenever the decision finally is made, but presently now we got another $200,000 from the state and $100,000 from the county to help us defer the cost of about $500,000 to $600,000 we spend on the engagement center. So that part will be covered. We're going out for private donations to help cover the fit-up cost and the release cost of the new procedure or new building, whatever we choose. So we're trying to keep it least costly to the taxpayer. And the county is also looking at ways in which they can help us. We will also look to other partners, nonprofit, to help us. Mr. Turnberg has talked about that numerous times, is let's get the nonprofits part of that. We have a couple entities that have approached us and want to be in the building, want to lease space from us, so it's a total different approach than before. It'll be a resource and referral center with hopefully partners that will help defer the cost. Mr. Strand.
Thank you. Brenda, with looking ahead just a little bit, we have winter coming. And, you know, we have, I think if I recall where we're at right now, we've discontinued weekend services at the deck, but we have still an anticipation of winter warming come winter. Is that in fact the case?
I'm gonna let.
Okay. I'm looking at
Getting outside my wheelhouse.
I'm looking, soon we have a time
Great.
change, soon we have winter, and that's my sense of that we're gonna be, even though this long path is unfolding, we're gonna still be able to put people, because they're not on the rivers anymore, they're not camping, so when winter hits, what will we do?
Well, I think if I can, before Jen jumps in too, I mean, through our conversations, at least my conversation with the mayor, I mean, this is our priority too. How quick can we shift into a larger, and how quick can we figure out that finance plan, and will it be approved or not? So I mean, that is high on our priority list also. And so we understand that seasons are gonna change, and we need to try and move as quickly as we can also.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Yes, winter is coming, and we've had those conversations after that last snap of cold that we had. We do have the location that had been occupied last year by the winter warming that's within the Fargo Cass Public Health Building. That was under contract conversations to be occupied. That's on hold right now, so that space is currently available should we move through that winter season. If we were able to move into any one of these locations, we could use it maybe as the winter warming area. It would need to be assessed for it to be safe with there's construction or other things happening, but having a safe zone for winter warming. Some of the facilities don't have HVAC or heat in the bays where, like the First Avenue North, that we would have to have heater areas. So we're trying to move that along as quickly as we can, and the assessment and decisions as they come forward would help us out.
Okay.
Mayor, last thing I'll
Mr.
say is,
Strand.
I think, I've had interactions with some prominent business leaders downtown, and I also, not only do I wear the public health portfolio hat, I wear the downtown hat as far as the portfolio goes. We have some really major prominent business leaders that are very eager to help us move forward and invest in a vision that in the bigger picture addresses their view of services and also protecting downtown's investments. So I think that is important too, to not shoot ourselves in the foot if there are people willing to help us finance this effort going forward versus delaying it or delagging it and not getting there, and then we lost our support financially. We really need it. And I think it'd be appreciated.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Turnberg.
Sure. I'm just curious why the deck not in West Fargo or Moorhead or Horace, Oxbow, Harwood, Castleton? Why the deck not there? This is one instance, as in many, many, where Fargo residents are paying the bill for a regional, nationwide service. We have people bused here to Fargo for these services. Now, Commissioner Strand, you are often speaking out boldly about worrying about people freezing to death, as we all should be. I agree with you. But where is your concern for the people dying of overdoses? We are delivering the needles to let people inject illegal drugs, which is totally fine, and then we supply the Narcan when they overdose. You can quote me stats all day long that it's a healthier way to do free needles. Is it the right thing to do? Is that what we should be doing, or should we focus on recovery and treatment and helping people, helping mental illness instead of encouraging drug use? I have spent a lot of time with businesses downtown. They are dying because they have people coming, doing drugs in front of their business. I've watched it. I've watched women and children being harassed. This is not people who are sober. It's not people who are in a good mental state. But instead of helping with mental health and treatment, Fargo residents only are paying for this. Not West Fargo, not Moorhead, not Horace, only Fargo. And it's close to $1 million a year. Before we closed weekends, it was $800,000 a year. Why are we busing people here?
Mayor? I thought it was 500 and some thousand, but we'll get that information on the deck. and
We
with-
had it
when
at
we get closing.
the business
You know,
workshop.
the reason these services are here is Fargo Cast Public Health is here. You know, that's what we have here. We're the center for health care, so that's where these services come out of. It's not out in those rural towns, it's here. And I understand, and I look forward, I think we're going to be partnering in ways that'll be pleasant and surprising to people, but this notion that lately, we've had this mindset that we're not going to take care of people who come to our town, maybe. Well, they all come to our town. We want people to come to our town. We want them to shop in our town. We want them to stay in hotels in our town. We want them to come to events in our town. This is what we want. And when you're a regional center, you're a draw. So that's what we're stuck with. It's hard to parse out, well, you're from West Fargo, how much is West Fargo paying? And I understand this dynamic, but it's difficult when we're the economic engine of the region.
It is difficult, but who do you
Commissioner
represent?
Turnberg.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Strand, are you done?
I'm okay.
Commissioner Turnberg.
I agree with you 100%. However, who do you represent? You represent citizens of Fargo. So we are having citizens of Fargo footing the bill yet again for services throughout the area. And keep in mind that every nonprofit located in the deck is still going to be a viable nonprofit if the deck wasn't there. The deck is a building. It's providing a space for the nonprofits to get together. Would you like to give me 10% of your yearly salary so I can decide where it should be sent charitably? I mean, that's what we're asking residents. Why are we taking on nonprofit duties? Let's hand this to the nonprofits. Why not that? I don't think anyone is saying don't help people, but why are Fargo residents once again footing the bill? And it's many things. It can be fire protection. It can be hospitals. We just had a meeting. How many hospitals are in West Fargo? None. I mean, we represent Fargo residents. And if we do get more state money, then more people from other cities ship people that they don't want to Imperial Cass, to Fargo.
Mayor, I'm just going to ask one question. I'd like verification that they're busing people here. I don't know that's the case. If it is the case, I would like to know it. Because this, again, I'm not aware of that information. Your question of who are we representing, 3 of us at least here are from other towns. All of people in Fargo from little towns out there, they're not all from here forever. So we're representing the region. We're representing where they're from. We're representing their connections. I mean, we're all from the area. And people come here for all their reasons. You know, I don't want to put a wall around Fargo.
Can I have staff explain? They were going to explain some of the questions. John, you wanted to respond?
Commissioner Turnberg, to your first question, why Fargo? It was in the 2018 Downtown in Focus summary by citizens that it was identified the need to have an engagement center. This was to help bring all of the nonprofits to one place so that those who were unhoused as it existed in 2018 would have one space to come, based on having them have to travel across the community to be able to reach those nonprofits you're identifying was a hindrance to them being able to actually seek the help that they needed using the bus transportation or by walking the various miles between the nonprofits that they needed to have access to. Having them in one location assured their ability to be able to get to all of those nonprofits and have better housing opportunities and access to the services that they needed. The other part to the question about the funding of it just being Fargo residents, in 2026 is going to be the first time it's not just the Fargo residents funding that. We have $200,000 coming from North Dakota State Aid, and we also have $100,000 coming in from Cass County. And that was negotiated in the budget of this year moving into 2026. We had reduced it from the $800,000 to the $600,000, so the total federal, or the total general fund to the operations of the engagement center is $300,000 this year, moving into 2026.
Well, I did go over your information from our budget workshop quite with a fine-tooth comb, and that does not align with what you presented at the budget workshop. I'm not saying don't help people at all. Is it our responsibility and to say that we're all from the area. I'm from Minnesota, but I wasn't elected by Minnesota residents. That makes zero sense to me, Commissioner. You represent Fargo residents.
We sure do.
Okay. Any other questions of Brenda or Jen? Mr. Kolpak.
Just a couple of comments. Just to close it out, thank you for the information. It is 300,000 currently with the offset of 200 and 100 is the expense out of $132 million total operating fund budget. And I will share that, I shared this earlier with administration and the mayor, that there is real urgency to find a solution to moving the engagement center and taking a different approach with partners and community partners, as well as a very robust process underway to secure private funding as well. And there's a commitment from both. And so I really appreciate these are complex issues, but I intend to be fully informed and thoughtful in finding solutions to these really, really tough challenges that we have as a large community.
Thank you. Very good. Item 44, our recommendation to delay indefinitely a full-time mayor position. Only comment I would have is in the budget, and the actual cost of the budget is $25,000. There's a lot of discussion in the paper or media, but that's really the cost to that at this time. Commissioner Strand to explain his motion.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know it's in the budget for half of a year. I understand it's projected and proposed, but we've never acted on it, is my point. And until we act on it, it's not official. Until this commission or a future commission chooses to make that a formal decision that a mayor is full-time, however they define that, then that's the point they've gotten to, but we haven't gotten there. And it was in fact brought to this table months ago and delayed for 30 days and never came back. Technically, it should have come back. So that's what I see is, and yes, 25,000's in this next budget, that's because it's half a year. All I know is the board needs to decide if this is what we want or what a commission wants and what they're choosing to do, and then that's enacted in the budget. And if it hasn't been chosen or acted upon, it shouldn't be in the budget. So that's my point. It was delayed. Before I make my motion to extend to delay it indefinitely, I'm curious to hear from everybody up here.
Mr. Turnberg.
You're curious to hear from our yes or me?
Our commissioners, my
Well,
peers.
we need to vote on it and decide whether or not. And I think we need to, well, we can discuss when we get to the budget portion.
Okay, I make the motion to delay that action on making the mayor full-time indefinitely.
Is there a second?
For sake of conversation, I'll second.
There is a second. Conversation, discussion.
So my point for the discussion is to make sure we have a thoughtful conversation here. And I will share that I think Fargo is ready for a full-time mayor. It is a full-time job. We're North Dakota's largest city. We're not talking about a significant increase overall to the budget. It is earmarked in the budget, so the funds have been found. And I've had many conversations with citizens and residents of Fargo who assume it already is a full-time position. And so when you look at cities like Sioux Falls, who has a full-time position, and being North Dakota's largest city and knowing the demands of the job, which I see every day, frankly, and the ambassador part of the role, the policy and legislative part of the role, every legislative session and in the interim federally and statewide, I think we're ready for a full-time mayor that people should know about ahead of the next election.
Any other discussion?
Might I ask, Mayor, if this doesn't prevail, I would hope we would have a motion that would direct our budgeting process with an action rather than just an assumption. Right now we have an action, but I'm okay with it. But as long as there's an action from this commission, not just assuming that's where we're at, because we haven't acted formally.
Roll call vote.
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak?
No.
Pepcorn?
No.
Turnberg?
No.
Mahoney?
No. You want to make the option that now you make the motion to make it a full-time mayor?
I'll let one of the other commissioners make that motion.
I think we need to dig into the budget more before we do that. It's like
It's already
putting the cart-
presented, it's a
cart before the
$25,000
horse.
impact, and it's covered, so. Huh?
For next year, but then after that, for a
After
full
that,
year.
it's a $50,000 change. It's an additional 25 after that, basically.
Mayor, I'll say one more thing, just for the sake of added humor. I'm not running for mayor. I don't have any vested interest in this. Other people, it might affect their choices whether to run for mayor or current candidates running or not. It's a big part of their lives, how much of your career you sacrifice to be a full-time mayor or a part, you know what I mean? So, but I'm not running for mayor. I don't have any vested interest in this for me. And I'm the one who brought this to the table months ago, but then it was delayed. And that's where we are. It was delayed. Until it's acted upon, it's still not acted upon.
Item 45, recommendation to approve the proposed transit route changes effective January 1st, 2026. Julie Bellman to explain.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Waiting for the presentation. But I'll go ahead and get started. Over the past several months, you've probably heard me talk more than you ever wanted to hear about proposed route changes and such. A big portion of that was to help with the budget efforts and get the numbers down a little bit for that purpose. But we wanted to keep service out there as best we could for folks that utilize the system. The first slide will be a list of proposed changes. Pardon me, it should be in the City Commission folder. We don't have it in there. Okay, in the S.
Bingo.
Okay. Thank you. Heard you. Oh, yeah, thanks. Okay. Sorry about that. So these were the proposed changes that were brought forward for the public hearing on September 2nd. And I won't go through them again, but of these proposed changes, there were a couple that rose to the top as being the most impactful to the budget and the least impactful to the partners that are part of our joint powers agreement or transit in the area. So tonight we're bringing forward the recommended and supported route changes that were from the MetBus Coordination Committee and members of that committee. There are several of them here. But the discussion was Route 16 would be eliminated, and the Industrial Park on Demand service would also be eliminated. And there were a couple of realignment changes. Route 14, which normally or currently travels what we call inbound, so back to the downtown area, north on 10th Street, and the proposal is to adjust that over so it comes north on 4th Street. And doesn't follow Route 18 and Route 15 up 10th Street, but then we pick up that section along 4th Street that includes the old Lashkowitz high-rise area. So when the new housing comes online, we would have service there coming in and going out of the GTC. And the second proposed change for Route 15 would be, we had started doing this in May to test out how it would be as far as going from a 90-minute route, which we could not keep on time, to a 60-minute route. That has gone well. And the proposed alignment adjustment would be to pick up the Cashwise on 13th Avenue. 15 travels east and west on 13th Avenue out to West Acres, Walmart, and comes back downtown. But Route 16 currently serves that cash-wise. This adjustment would allow us to continue to serve that cash-wise very well. Some of the additional assumptions we included in the budget was that one of the existing positions we have would be suspended, not filled in 2026, but the FTE would still be retained. We would hold open vacant positions as we evaluate the impact bringing the drivers in-house. FTEs would still be retained. And diesel fuel, of course, was adjusted for the service level changes. We estimated, based on industry standards, about a 2% reduction in ridership if we are adjusting the routes. And with the cash fare rate increase, we expect that to impact our routes. Although if Grand Forks is any example, they raised their rates and their ridership went up 25%. So that was good news to hear. Marketing budget, we would reduce it down to $50,000. Drivers in-house for approved services would remain. And with the final budget numbers, we initially started out, I should say the initial budget numbers, with payroll and health insurance not included in there, the increase in health insurance. They are currently included in there, though. And what we boiled it down to through several meetings with the MAT Bus Coordination Committee was landing on these numbers. The highlighted yellow squares at the top of the graph you see would be the contributions, the local, as we call them, contributions. Then you see the next line is state revenues, and the following line is federal revenues. So you see what the grand total commitment to the system is by each of the partners in the joint powers agreement would be, and again, the yellow is the local contribution. And the suggested action is to approve those route changes that we covered. And I listed them again just so there was no confusion on which ones we're asking for approval for. They would become effective January 1 of 26, and the resulting proposed budget.
And Julie, the West Acres station is still going to exist, and we didn't
Yes.
eliminate that.
Correct.
So and what you did in some of your recommendations, you cut back on some of the discussion points we had before, but just so the public understands that that has not been eliminated. I think Commissioner Strand visited with you on that, so.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you, Mayor.
I have one virtual speaker to speak, Olivia Fisher. Olivia, are you on?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, hi again, Olivia, Fargo resident. I'm speaking on these proposed bus route changes as someone who is privileged to own a car and has the funds to keep it running, as do all of you, I presume. There are many neighbors who do not have that same privilege, and so tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the concerns I have heard from them. I've heard about multiple frustrating instances from friends who ride the bus, both recently and in the past across Fargo and Moorhead. The recent changes have caused confusion and disruption to the normal bus paths as drivers and passengers navigate the changes. I've heard instances about the bus skipping stops completely, even when people wave them down. I know someone who had to get off in the middle of a street because of the driver going off route, and I have heard that the bus app has not been correctly updating because of the drivers going off route. So to see even more changes being proposed before the current problems are addressed is incredibly frustrating, especially big changes like the one happening to the West Acres Transit Hub. That is a very centralized area of town that many people rely on. Abrupt changes like this will again lead to some people walking longer distances in the freezing cold this winter. It would be irresponsible for the city and the transit office to move forward without offering a chance for the public to give input on how the current changes are going. While I know that emailing you all is an option, we rarely get responses. So the least you can do is hold another town hall for bus passengers to attend and notify you about any challenges or upsides they have faced from the current changes. If you do hold a town hall, it would also be appreciated if the announcement would go out with ample time for folks to actually hear about it. The city could even post flyers up at the bus stops to ensure more residents know about it. The transit office themselves note that they expect a 2% decrease in passengers due to the fare increases. Does this not concern you? That 2% of the population cannot access public transit due to the cost that you voted to increase. They are not just a number, they are people that now face even more of a struggle to get to their appointments, to grocery stores, work, pharmacies, etc. Residents' access to transportation services is worth more than however much money you are saving by making these changes. And if you truly care about citizens' well-being more than money, you need to show that through productive, helpful action. Thanks.
Any questions of Julie? Commissioner Turnberg?
Julie, could you just confirm for me, will we be keeping Route 15, Route 18, and Sunday paratransit?
Yes, we would, on all three of those, Commissioner. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I move
Mr.
approval.
Or Kolpak.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I move for approval of the suggested motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Strand, you had something to say?
I do. Julie, could you help us just understand in the balcony view this is Fargo we're talking, but it's way more than Fargo. It's a metro transit, and we're partnered, and we've shifted sizes, and that bigger picture, I just think I'd like to have us couch our decisions and conversations relative to the partnership we have with Moorhead and others.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Strand. And you serve on that committee, as does Commissioner Kolpak, so you probably have more insights into that. But of the 4 partners that we have, part of a joint powers agreement, so we've got NDSU, City of Fargo, City of Moorhead, and City of West Fargo. So we work with all of them and try and balance it out. So we have a cost allocation plan. It's that spreadsheet that we punch literally every line item into, every cost, and every time you make a change or an adjustment, it filters throughout that cost allocation plan, and it demonstrates what the impacts are to the other partners. So Fargo cutting routes significantly, like we initially proposed, very negatively impacted the partners, and they would have to pay significantly more. So that hopefully is it in a nutshell, but that's what it looks like.
Mr. Kolpak.
Thank you. Yeah, I also sit on the transit committee with Commissioner Strand, and we spent many hours going through this and reinstating many of the originally proposed cuts, including the West Acres hub, which, by the way, they never wanted gone, West Acres. They always wanted to keep that hub there, so that was good news. I will just, part of the outcomes and follow-up work that's coming. Number one, we worked really hard in the legislative session. I see Kale's here from the chamber on working, Julie team, with your counterparts around the state on getting either the formula changed, which is now in study, so long-term, there's still some concern there as North Dakota's largest metro in transit, but also we in the end got monies and funds for paratransit that offset some of this at a good clip. So not cutting paratransit was very important to us. It was the wrong signal right now, so that's reinstated and back in. I will also add, as part of the conversations with the community partners, one of the takeaways locally was to look at that formula that's used on how allocations are made to each of the 4 partners, so that was an important takeaway. And so in the end, I'll just close with this. It was very much public comment that changed this conversation and informed the final decisions that reinstated many of the routes that were part of the initial cuts. And so public comment was very important to this final outcome and having services there, including paratransit. So those are my comments.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
Aye.
Turnberg?
Aye.
Mahoney?
Aye. Commissioner, you ready to go ahead, or do you want to take a 5-minute break? Are we okay to continue? Diana, are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. Recommendation for the final budget of 2026. Susan Thompson and Michael Redinger will help us out. We will now discuss the budget. As you recall, we presented a preliminary budget on August 4th and engaged public hearing on the budget during your city commission 2 weeks ago. The budget team worked diligently to meet the budget objectives of 2026 while thoughtfully considering the new property tax relief and reform policies approved in the 2025 legislative session. We believe a balanced budget has been developed that accomplishes these objectives in the spirit of collaboration and compromise. The preliminary budget and supporting schedules are posted in the City of Fargo website. Subsequent budget changes were detailed in tonight's commission meeting materials. City Administrator Michael Redinger and Finance Director Susan Thompson will provide an overview of the 2026 budget process along with subsequent adjustments and the final 2026 budget for your consideration. Michael Redinger to start.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Good evening. First of all, thank you for your time this evening to receive this brief presentation. We just have a few slides, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have at the end. First, I just wanted to highlight this is our chronology of events that have occurred on the budget. As the Mayor mentioned, we had the preliminary budget approved on August 4th. Then you conducted your public hearing on September 15th. As we all know, however, the 2026 budget process actually began much, much earlier than that. If you go all the way back to earlier this year, our department heads really started working on their budgets as early as January and February, and had their first deadline to submit materials into the finance department in April. And so in general, our budget discussions were occurring as early as the winter months in January and February. The final budget that you see tonight is really a culmination of all of their work, all of their efforts, and we're very appreciative of that. On slide number 3 here, you can see that these are the budget team priorities and approaches as we got into the 2026 process. These are really 5 priority areas. Number 1 was to implement the new property tax cap approved by the legislature. Number 2 was to incorporate the voter-approved public safety sales tax. This was discussed thoroughly at the City Commission earlier this spring, late spring and early summer. Number 3, we knew that we needed to do everything that we could to retain our city staff and provide for a cost of living adjustment that kept us with the market. Number 4, we also wanted to assess our rate structures for those services to ensure that we are optimizing our service revenues. And so you heard that earlier this year as well. And finally, we wanted to very carefully balance the available revenues relative to expenditures. The City of Fargo is extremely respectful of the legislature, of the property tax cap and property tax relief packages that were approved at the legislature this past year. We want to acknowledge the efforts of the legislature and honor that. We also noted that our department heads took that charge very seriously as well and did everything that they could to really try keep their expenditures constrained as much as possible. And they deserve a lot of credit for the information that's been compiled here into the budget document for 2026. These reductions were very significant. They were occurring in several departments. But as we really tried to keep our long-range focus on our residents and on our businesses. And so you'll hear us talk about that pretty extensively. The next slide represents where we left off on August 4th. So this is really the last time you saw this balancing of the scale. This scale at the preliminary budget approved a budget at $140,287,211. As a reminder, the 2026 general fund also includes nearly $5.9 million in the new public safety sales tax revenues. These are transfers in now to the general fund. This is related to offsetting expenses associated with the new pay plan for public safety, as well as new staff and public safety equipment. The City Commission, as noted earlier, previously approved all of these activities earlier this year and got all of these plan elements really put into motion. So now I'm going to turn it over to Susan. She's going to discuss the subsequent updates to the budget so we can talk about what happened from the preliminary budget to present.
Good evening. An already challenging budget process is further complicated by the relatively early budget deadline and the fact that data is constantly changing. So even after the preliminary budget is approved, the budget team continues to seek new and more current information to incorporate into the final budget. Since the August 4th meeting, we've identified new revenue and expenses, both positive and negative. The net impact of these changes is an additional $400,000 to the general fund budget. A summary of this new information and the related budget changes was provided in the commission materials, but I'll provide a brief overview. The first adjustment relates to the commission agenda item that we just discussed, transit routes. Our preliminary budget included a $3.5 million transfer out to transit to cover the city's local share. This was based on efficiencies associated with bringing the drivers in-house, along with proposed route adjustments. Following public comments directed primarily at the route adjustments, the route adjustments and changes that were required to arrive at that 3.5 million local share for Fargo. The Metro Coordinating Committee, which represents all of our transit partners, was not comfortable with the scope of those changes. And instead, they approved the adjustments that Julie just presented. The resulting local share for Fargo became $4.33 million, which requires an additional $830,000 in general fund transfers. We should acknowledge, though, that this is a reduction in over $1 million from the 2025 expense, and a legislative transit study will be underway in Fargo, which may garner additional state funding for the future budgets. Second, we were notified of our 2026 health insurance premium increase. The preliminary budget was prepared at a 10% increase. The final is a blended increase of approximately 12%. For the budget, we conservatively calculate the new benefit cost as if everyone stays at their current plan and unfilled positions are at the most expensive plan. However, the benefit renewals, as you approved tonight through the consent agenda, include new options which continue to provide excellent coverage, but at a lower cost for both the employer and the employee. We're confident that there will be budget savings here, which is included in our salary savings estimate. We added back a contribution to the Community Land Trust of $25,000 to support the city's commitment to affordable housing. And then we incorporated just a finance housekeeping item through the final budget adjustments. Typically, we had reported net revenues from auto impound activity. Due to a new state ruling, we need to report both gross revenue and gross expense, so there's no change in the budget. It just looks a little different how it's presented. Then to offset these net additional expenses, the budget team is proposing the following adjustments. Cass County Electric recently notified their customers of a 14% rate increase. So we anticipate additional franchise fee revenue above what was already included in the preliminary budget resulting from Xcel Energy's planned rate increase. Public Works contracts for 6 months in advance for diesel fuel and gasoline. Based on the price reductions for first and second quarter of 2026, we anticipate a reduction in expense from the preliminary budget. The budget team proposes to freeze 2 currently vacant FTEs and incorporate operating reductions within the comms department, while a new department head is hired and onboarded and department priorities are reestablished. And then, as we've discussed on many occasions, our payroll budget assumes every approved FTE works every day for the full year. We know that isn't realistic, so we estimate an offset salary savings, incorporating trends, new options for health insurance, and being mindful of the elimination of some vacant FTEs discussed in the preliminary budget. The budget team revisited the budget's allocated salary savings estimate and made adjustments. So this slide incorporates those adjustments into the preliminary budget to generate a final proposed general fund budget, which is the $400,000 increase that I mentioned. So we are proposing a balanced general fund budget of $140,687,211. This information was included in the commission packet for this agenda item. I've also prepared 2 property tax slides to reiterate the revenue cap and their implications, and for clarity regarding the total property tax assessment and the mill implications. If you'll remember from our June Finance Committee, there is a very complicated spreadsheet to calculate the cap. So to simplify, the cap is the greater of 3% of the base year levy, which is the greater of the levies for the last 3 years. And for Fargo, that was just over $48.6 million, as shown on the screen. Or we could use the adjusted year levy, which incorporates true property tax growth, which includes new construction or any tax incentivized parcels that are going back on the tax rolls. Fargo's growth results in a higher adjusted year levy, so we're using the $50.3 million as our cap. That's the circled number at the bottom. And then this slide represents the total tax levy and the mill implications. So again, circled, that's our property tax cap. Both the city's general fund assessment and the airport counts towards our property tax cap. So you can see how it's allocated based on the preliminary budget. 48.6 million gross to the general fund, 1.7 gross to the airport. Property tax legislation exempts several levies from the cap. One that's pertinent to Fargo is the levy for the city's share of special assessments. The city's assessments are slightly under $1 million, but previous year's levies estimates have generated a surplus. So for next year, we're only levying enough to bring that fund up to the $1 million that we need. So that's 350 that's listed there. So the gross property tax assessment will be $50,696,330. And for those of you that are still looking at mills, the current estimated value of a mill is $883,880. So that generates a mill levy of 57.36, which is an increase over last year of 0.36 mills. And then we just did a quick calculation on the bottom. So based on a median home sale price of $353,500, the increased fractional mill will add $5.73 to a homeowner's property tax. Slide 9 is a reminder of the rate adjustment proposal from the preliminary budget presentation. We are only bringing forth rate adjustments for the solid waste services. Residential, both waste collection and recycling is proposed at $1 per month. The waste collection has last been increased in 2009 and recycling 2020. Solid waste is also proposing rate increases for commercial, roll-off, and landfill as noted. And I will turn it over to Michael to wrap up.
So just in conclusion, we just want to note, as a budget team, we're very grateful for all the time of our department heads. Our executive leaders were very, very participatory within this process. We really are appreciative of all of their efforts to get us to this point in time. So what we presented today is really the result of all of their work. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of collaboration, and no doubt a lot of compromise as well to try to get to a balanced budget. We've also accomplished this objective against, again, the backdrop of the implementation of the new property tax cap. So that's been fully incorporated. As Susan just highlighted, that resulted in a very small mill increase, if you're still backing into mills, of 0.36. And then also excluding for the public safety sales tax implementation, the general fund then was increased by 1.8% overall compared to 2025. So that's just one other baseline number that we wanted to provide. And that was not planned.
Turn the lights off, Doug.
I'm a little moody.
Game's over.
I'll tell you that was not a part of the plan in the presentation, but I will tell you that, again, the just want to acknowledge, too, all the talents of our staff that really came together to get this done. One other highlight I just wanted to make
Is this the brownout they talked about, Commissioner Pepcorn, where they brown us out every now and then?
So just want to note, too, we're also able to accommodate that cost of living adjustment, that 3%. I was just very appreciative of that, and again, appreciate the Commission's interest in wanting to retain all of our staff. We believe in their talents. We believe in their gifts that they provide to the citizens of Fargo, the businesses of Fargo, every single day. And so this is really a critical investment in Team Fargo to make sure that they see a future here as well. So I would just note in closing that really the 26 budget was really about restraint, really about minimizing general fund growth. We're able to do that by being particularly diligent within the department budgets and throughout the general fund as well as our enterprise funds to scrutinize our various expenditure budgets and make sure that we were aligning our expenditures and our revenues as best as we possibly could. So we believe that, again, we met the expectations that the state of North Dakota really laid out for us to come into compliance with the property tax relief and reform legislation, while really also achieving real reductions in general fund spending within the general fund departments, and that these reductions were really necessary to align our expenditures to available revenues. And so now to close this out, the mayor will take the last couple of slides, but again, commissioners, just want to thank you for your time to receive these few slides tonight.
Very good. Thank you very much for both your hard work and the teams behind you. As you can see, our final budget's a little bit different. It's $140,687,211. As you know, that's just less than $6 per cost of an average house in our community. I think department heads they did a tremendous job trying to keep our expenses controlled, and a less than 2% increase in general fund is outstanding. So would recommend that we accept this and approve the final budget and related property tax assessment as presented. That would be the suggested motion.
Mayor?
Yes.
For the sake of dotting our i's and crossing our t's, I just want a budget that's reflecting approved actions. And this, I'm not sure this is out of order, but I would go back to the last item, and I would move that commencing June 1st, our mayor position be funded as full-time going forward. So that's in our budget, and it's reflecting a decision of the group.
Is it an amendment, John?
It's not an amendment, it's a separate motion, but then it'll filter into the budget. Overall, right now, it's...
Again, there's
no amending if it's in there.
Amended, or could he have a motion before the motion?
There's no motion pending, so this would be a
Right.
motion. He just needs a second.
So I would move that we designate the mayor's position full-time commencing June 1st.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Strand?
Yes.
Kolpak?
Aye.
Pepcorn?
No.
Turnberg?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. Okay, now can I have a motion for the budget?
I move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I think we still
Commissioner
have.
Turnberg?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is fantastic. I know Susan and Michael, you have been working tirelessly on this, but could we not still cut? Do we need $1 million for travel and education? Do we? I mean, there's a lot of things that just seem like a lot of money. Just now, Julie posted that we're lowering the marketing budget for Matt Bus to $50,000. If you need the Matt Bus, do you need marketing? Don't we have all the information on our website? I mean, I think, could we not maybe cut some more?
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Commissioner Kopeck?
Sure. So again, thank you to finance, administration, and every department head. There was a lot of work that went into this, and actually, if you think about the public safety sales tax, this work began in December. And then we had several meetings there. I alone had over 30 different conversations and meetings with my 5 departments and administration and the public safety sales tax teams, and really dug into this. I can tell you there were compromises that I know we all made as part of the final getting to where we got, including the changes at the end to transit that were so important, with hopefully legislative changes coming next legislative session with, the formulaic underway conversation. I will share one of the deal breakers for me was no less than a 3% COLA. And the fact that we came in at under 2% overall in increase in general operating funds, which is just under $6 a household at $350,000, is remarkable when you consider that steps alone is $2.5 million automatic each year with the way that our grade system works for employees, and then you add the 12% increase to health insurance. That's over $3 million we're starting out of the gate right there. And so with a 3% cap, with the restrictions that were made, again, we all made compromises, but I'm very comfortable with where we landed, and I know that every single department scoured. In that first prelim budget round, we did eliminate open positions, and I'll close with this. One of my requests with my last budget meeting with administration was we think about how we strategically plan long-term on a rolling basis and do it differently, along with an associated capital 5-year plan and associated personnel plan, so we can plan for where those future needs are going to be, understanding the cap is in place for now, and then how do we communicate with our legislature on where the changes have to be to the 3% cap to make it sustainable. So appreciate very robust conversations and all the work.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Turnberg?
Have we voted on changes for the communications department? Is that in the budget as it was? or is there a new number for the communications department?
Yeah, Michael can explain that.
So, Mayor and Commissioners, Commissioner Turnberg, we have reduced 2 FTEs. So that was just highlighted in Susan's comments. And so still would intend to move forward with a realigned department and a director in the future. But that'll be an event that will happen after the budget's approved. But there is a reduction in personnel, as well as a reduction in personnel in other departments. I believe a total of 9.8 FTEs in total were reduced in the general fund.
A director would be hired, and then we would look at that closely. I think you made some recommendations. We would look at that. Any other discussion? Mr. Strand.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, this has been a tough year for the budgeting, and a challenge. We all have it in our own lives too. So I just want to thank our team and our people for rolling up their sleeves for the community. I don't think transit would have landed there if we hadn't heard so hugely from the people affected by our decisions. You know, and it's important we serve the people. You know, this whole engagement center, helping people with struggle, we just are making sausage on a daily basis here. And to land on a budget we can go forward with, to have the relationships that we have with our other governments, you know, but we're not out of the woods at all. And Susan, I don't know how much sleep you've lost in the last few months. I can't imagine what you wrestle with at night when you're going through, or Michael too. But good work, everybody, and let's just, we got there. Somewhere, we got somewhere. But gee, next year, and the year after, and new mayors and new leadership, will have 3 new members potentially up here next July. So I just want to thank everybody for putting their effort into this to make us get through the goalposts and everybody lost something potentially in their favored services they want.
I just want to thank the team for getting this budget through, but I also want to thank the commissioners for actively engaging. Every one of you engaged with Michael and Susan, had your concerns heard. I think this is the most transparent we've ever done a budget to show that. Long-term, a little concerned about the decrease in capital investments. That will be a long-term issue. I'm glad I don't have to do the budget next year, but I just think that the warning out there is that we really are holding tight on our capital investments. And that'll be the difficulty a large city has, is to keep up with all the technology and software and equipment that you need to run a big city. So my hope is that we continue to have growth within the city, but there are some looks at what does the community need and what will you do going forward. But again, I want to thank the team and everybody that worked on this. They did a tremendous job. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Kolpak? Strand?
Yes.
Pepcorn?
No.
Turnberg?
No.
Mahoney?
Aye. Liaison Commissioner updates. Commissioner Pipgarn.
No update, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Turnberg.
No update.
Commissioner Mahoney, Mayor Mahoney. We did have the League of Cities meeting last week, and the police chief was elected the president of the Police Chiefs Association. It was because they'd like to have somebody out there to help us out and do some things, so that was a great thing that had happened, and it was a great meeting. Otherwise, we had our people reinstated for the LAWA board and the Association for Red River, so that came forward out of that as well. Commissioner Kolpak.
First is the fire department, October 5th through the 11th is Fire Prevention Week, and this year the National Fire Protection Association and the Fargo Fire Department are focusing on lithium-ion battery safety. The department wants residents to know that while lithium batteries are efficient, they can also overheat and even catch fire. Residents are encouraged to follow 3 basic safe battery practices to help prevent fires. Buy only listed products. When buying a product that uses the lithium-ion battery, look for a safety certification mark. Charge devices safely. Always use the cables that come with the batteries and don't overcharge. And recycle batteries responsibly, which talks about some services through the solid waste team that are available as well. But don't throw lithium-ion batteries in the trash or recycling bins, as they could start a fire. Recycle your device at a safe battery recycling location, which we offer.
Do the fire stations have recycling?
No.
Chief, do you know? No, you don't?
No.
Pharmacies always have strafe drug places, so you guys, you're looking for fires, you don't want them in your station, eh?
Right. On water utility, very excited to say we're making progress in the lead service line replacement program with bids set to open to contractors on October 22nd. We have just over 2,000 lead service lines to replace. We know where they all are. Phase 1 of the project is scheduled to start in the spring and will occur in the neighborhood bound by Main Avenue, South University, 13th Avenue South, and 18th Street South, which is my neighborhood, by the way, and I need anyway, I'll leave that there. I encourage all Phase 1 residents to sign up, and replacement costs will be fully covered. If you remember, we previously passed that at a former meeting. Visit fargo.nd.gov/LSLR. And the last to your point about North Dakota League, Mayor, I just want to congratulate you for receiving the 2025 Leadership Excellence Award from the North Dakota League of Cities. It was a well-attended luncheon last Friday. Commissioner Strand was there as well, along with Greg and Katie, who nominated you for the award from former communications folks. And this honor is well deserved for his years of leadership to Fargo and the steady and approachable leadership. These comments were shared at the luncheon. He has helped advance major projects like the FM diversion, Red River water supply, downtown revitalization efforts that have strengthened Fargo and made life better for our community. It is not only a reflection of Mayor Mahoney's efforts, but of all of Fargo's public servants. And this recognition shows what can come from a shared commitment to serving the residents of Fargo day in and day out. So congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Strand.
I was going to talk about the League of Cities, but it's all congratulations, Mayor. You know, just to see all those cities, there's 350-some cities at the League, and most of them are under 1,000 people. You know, and it's really important that we meet them and they meet us. And when the mayor of Fargo or Grand Forks walks in, it's pretty significant to those folks because they hear you on the news all the time. But congratulations on your service. 20 years is really something to have that at the helm or at the dais in a city like Fargo, and they acknowledge that very deservedly so. So congratulations.
We have one public comment. Olivia, you've been around all night. This is the third time up. So Olivia Fisher.
Yes. Can you hear me one last time?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Olivia, again. Just speaking lastly, because I'm very concerned that you all seem to have not discussed the winter warming center yet. And worse than that, I worry that you simply don't care. Just like Moorhead City Council, who has not implemented a warming center despite pleas from the public. It would be wise for you to not follow suit if you don't want people freezing to death on our streets this winter, because you are the reason they can't wrap up in a sleeping bag or block themselves from the wind and a tent. I also want to note, for those who don't know, that the commission made the decision to remove park benches downtown, or at least some of them. This was not discussed at length publicly, which is upsetting considering how this affects the accessibility of downtown Fargo. It especially troubles me that the benches were removed during the town hall last week. While folks were expressing concern over how unsheltered residents are getting treated, benches were being removed because of the misinformation being spread about those very residents. It is just plainly so cruel. It was appalling to find out that the benches were removed because of a recommended motion from one of the very staff members who presented at the town hall. This is a new low for the city of Fargo, and I truly hope you feel ashamed. Residents cannot trust you to make decisions that are beneficial for all of us, not just business owners. In no way is that okay, and I highly encourage you to reevaluate your morals going forward. Lastly, I want to address Michelle's questions from earlier about the deck being in Fargo. It was expressed at the town hall last week that you attended that unhoused people have always lived around and in the downtown area. The deck was put there because of that. Also, there are services in Fargo than other smaller towns. There are more services in Fargo than other smaller towns, and you know that. As for the needles, I don't know how many times it needs to be explained that clean needles are harm reduction. Of course, it is hard to see people struggling with addiction, but nothing will change so long as they keep being beat down by society. If you take clean needle programs away, you will wind up with people dead on the streets, and that should disturb you more than the supposed downfall and success from businesses downtown.
Isn't that against the
As a
rules
taxpaying
to be
resident, I
calling
do want
out
my money
individual
going towards harm
people?
reduction and services like the debt. I'd rather it help people than fund corrupt institutions like the police or to support the genocide in Palestine. And I'll finish by saying it is rich to hear these continuous claims about people who aren't sober causing harm when you yourself have been that person. I hope you all have the day you deserve. Thanks.
Olivia, Commissioner Turnberg thinks that you're not following policy. Do you want to explain, Commissioner, what your concern is?
Well, you cannot call out individual people. Public speakers may not. We may not. People who call in may not. I'm concerned why you are not interrupting her and telling her to stop.
So Olivia, in the future, we are not supposed to call out individual commissioners. You can call out policies or discussions that are held in the commission, but it is recommended you do not. If it happens again, I would have to cut you off. So thank you. That's the end of the agenda. Adjourn.